Okay, guys, welcome back to She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, Episode 2, Thoughts and Discussions. So, we just watched the whole episode. just, just
I
feel the energy leave my body as I said that. We just watched the whole episode together. Um, let's start with our general feeling towards this episode in comparison to the last.
I think it was a much better episode. I don't think there's any doubt that it was a much better episode.
And I would tend to agree with that, actually. I think first episode was really frustrating. And part of it was maybe me saying that I think they could have gone a different direction with things. Wasn't too happy with the writing, wasn't too happy with character building. I felt there was more character building in this episode. I felt we learned a little bit more about who Jen is. She went through a little bit, it wasn't a whole flashback episode. So yeah, I think I'd agree with you. I think they did definitely do things a little bit better in this episode.
Well, there isn't.
Not to say that the episode itself was good.
Well, one could also argue that the bar was so low. It would have been particularly difficult.
It would have been harder to make a worse episode than the first one.
Or even replicate
I
that
was. I
particular
mean, I didn't think the
performance.
first episode was terrible. I know we did complain about it for about 45 minutes when we did the first thoughts and discussion.
I think that one of the things, and to put this into context, one of the things that over the summer we've seen is that Amazon have smashed it with a few of their series. I mean, Reacher
Rita was great.
was absolutely fantastic.
Highly recommend if anyone hasn't watched that.
Yeah, and also the Michael Connolly one about the lawyer was fantastic, and the reason that one feels that Disney has produced well below par episodes is because Disney is the name you associate with productions and spending lots of money on creating quality products for entertainment, not Amazon. Amazon, you expect to get your blooming Prime delivery either today or tomorrow or whenever, but that's where its expertise is. When did Amazon suddenly become the name that you associate with great product? And Disney, time after time after time in the last year, coming out with
More than
product
just
that
a
is
year
just
now.
poor.
They've been disappointing
It's
over and over.
really poor.
I think Disney is now associated with complacency. I think they know their brand is big. They've obviously had some strong products in the past. They feel they can get away with anything. And it's a sad thing to see, to be honest, because I would have thought they would, what you want is a company that cares about viewers, cares about stories, understands that at the end of the day, this is art, and you want as a viewer to feel something when you watch these shows and the attempts that what they're doing now seems very much like we know what makes money, we know you lot will watch it, we've got you stuck with our
I think they've
subscription,
understood. I think
and here's something to keep you
I think there
happy
is.
in the meantime.
I think there's some truth in that, and I think one of the things, and I think it does show with the first episode, and to be honest, I think even with some of this episode, they know that the Disney Channel ultimately is just being, or the Disney Plus channel is ultimately being used to babysit kids, and you're not going to get rid of it. So whether you know, nobody's got. If you got
can
kids,
watch so much else than
but
She-Hulk.
nobody.
They've got content.
They're watching Simpsons. They're watching all the other stuff. So, who is the audience for this? It's not under 12s. I think an under 12 will look at this.
I think it's somewhere between middle-aged to teenage girls. Middle-aged women and teenage girls.
If teenage girls
and
are looking,
casual fans of
I think
books.
I think it's fair to say that teenage boys as well. But they're looking at it in two different ways, and I think they find the way the boys look at it is rather offensive. But I'd be amazed if teenagers are looking at this stuff and not thinking it should be better.
Yeah.
I'd be amazed. I mean, what is the education level of these kids otherwise?
So back to the original point.
Right.
We both think this episode is better than the last one.
Yeah. It was an improvement. I don't like the idea of better. I prefer it's an improvement.
It's better though, isn't it? An improvement is better.
Better implies that it's...
As I said, it doesn't mean it's a good episode, but it is better than the last episode. There are definitely things done correctly in this episode that weren't done correctly in the last episode. And I think the main thing for me was character building. Do I think the animation was better in the last episode versus this episode? I thought it was about the same. I think that there wasn't much difference. Do I think
Sorry, what was that?
The animation? I thought the animation was about the same in both episodes. There wasn't much to animate in this one versus the last one.
No,
there was
wasn't.
Bruce on the spaceship as well, I guess.
I think the Bruce Banner thing's quite interesting, because I think that the animation's irrelevant when you actually see him on because we've seen him in other films and we've seen him at the end of Infinity War. So you end up almost in a situation of it doesn't matter if all you know is Mark Ruffalo playing the Hulk. And he's a great actor,
but I think they've already got the character model, haven't they? So yeah. I think if we see a resemblance of the character model, we're somewhat happy with.
Nobody looks closely at his animation. I think they will look closely at.
Yeah, but to be fair, there's nothing standing out about his character animation that to me that was like, oh, this is a bit off or anything.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine.
Could also argue that he had better lines.
Yeah, I think like we said with the Gen character and the Gen Hulk character is that. It doesn't really resemble any part of her. There's nothing in the human that sticks into
They're two completely different
animation
things, and that's a bit weird. It's carrying
Whereas
on
Ruffalo
from the
does
episode.
look Hulkalo does look a bit does resemble Ruffalo a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the animation I thought was on par to the first episode.
Remind me, how did it start again?
This one?
Yeah, it started with.
She was in the courtroom. She said,
"It's the party, isn't it?"
I am Jennifer Walters, attorney at law, and then we saw the media. We saw the media proclaiming her She-Hulk and a superhero.
Oh God, yeah, and all of a sudden, it's really weird. I tell you, one of the things that's really weird, and it shows how they're almost trying too hard to be sophisticated because they think it's being sophisticated. In the past, you'd have a super villain. Would be, it might be a rich guy who's bad and no one likes him, or it might be, a person from a profession that you would think that that profession has meant that they've got some chip on their shoulder as a result, and as a result they become villainous. And what is the profession of the blooming supervillain?
She's an influencer.
Influencer. Bloody hell.
I mean, that's the thing,
though. Come on.
So here's the thing. I think the idea
Influencer.
that she is a low-level superhero, right, is difficult, isn't it? Because they're saying that she's a low-level superhero and therefore she requires a low-level supervillain. So that's why they've made this like an influencer
You think
villain.
so?
Yeah, I think
I
that's
think they're just trying to. They think they're being in tune with that teenage groups. Oh, you want to be influencers?
Absolutely.
You want to be on Instagram?
They're looking at social media. They're saying,
Twitter
they are looking at social media and saying, let's have an influencer.
This is where the future is.
But I think
pathetic.
It's one of those ones where you don't want a threat that's so big that the Avengers have to get involved. But now it's hard because you've said that She-Hulk is on the level of to Hulk, who is an Avenger. So you need to have someone who's powerful enough to disrupt that mechanic, and luckily that wasn't explored yet, because if we did, I think we would be chatting about this episode a bit more. We didn't really see Titania in this episode. She's been apprehended, as it were.
It was just
so the key things that happened in this episode were Jen lost her job because she is a hero and no one wants to mess with that, but then she still got a job because she's a hero and one company wants to mess with that, and it was the law firm that defeated her in the first case, and now she's being teed up to be head of their superhuman something division, superhuman law division, I think it was. I can't remember what it was called.
I don't actually like the logic of this, because on the one hand she's seen as somebody who is so good the jury will always have a bias towards her, and therefore there'll be a mistrial every time. And yet, if she's taken on a job because she's seen as so good that she has a chance of winning cases where people are supervillains, protecting the supervillains who are, and it's usually the supervillains or somebody.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you still have a jury.
Yeah, so
surely it'll still be a mistrial.
Surely they'll say it's a mistrial. You never win anything.
Yeah, because if they like her, they'll say it's a mistrial. This is a strange thing. Yeah, this is a strange argument that they've made. I didn't think about that when we were watching the episode.
I think it's just the writers are lazy again. They're just being lazy.
I thought it was strange the way that she lost her job. I will say that.
I think it's a stupid way to lose a job. She should have lost a job because she'd been, as a result of what's happened and all the rest of it, their clients don't want to be represented by a monster. They could have just been honest.
And that's what Hulk said that's what Bruce said, that she could be seen as a monster. Yeah. But they've gone another spin on it. They said that she's a superhero. Everyone loves her. They're all chanting her name when she goes to the pub and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and all that sort of stuff.
So I think it's a difficult one. But it didn't irk me so much to see that happen. I thought it was fine. Like, she lost her job. They kind of. A part of me thought they played that just so they could do the title role and say attorney for hire, just because they thought that would be interesting. So she got her job. She took her best friend with her. Strange that she had one term and condition for her whole job, which was my best friend must be with me. She didn't want to read any. She didn't care about any of the terms and conditions of the job at all.
You're going to be on 1/10 of the salary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're working 24/7.
Yeah, but going back to that scene
read
in
your
the
contracts,
saloon.
kids.
Sorry?
Read your contracts.
Yeah. Always read the contract. The small print is usually the only print that you need to notice. Going back to that saloon thing where they're in the bar and they're just shouting her name. So she's lost a case. She's in a bar full of her colleagues who are all involved in law and all would have been following her case, and no one's realised that she's lost a case and they're shouting her name. Yeah,
but that's not. They wouldn't need to know that.
It seems very strange.
She's a superhero now, isn't it?
Is she a superhero?
She's a superhero. She beat a supervillain. All the news outlets are proclaiming she's a superhero. So she's a superhero. I can live with that.
Okay.
I don't think they need to be angry she lost the case. They don't even know what the case is about.
When was the last time when was the last time you ever seen lawyers celebrate the fact that one of their colleagues screwed up and lost a case?
But it wasn't lawyers celebrating, it was just general public. No, general public in that bar. Yeah.
I got the impression it was...
General public.
Oh, it was general public, so I made a mistake there. I'm overthinking this thing because I'm hoping it's going to get better.
Because you hate it. That's why you want to find something terrible.
Find the silver strands.
Let's talk about... So there were some good things. So they followed up from the first episode. It was not like they had a break for a week.
Yeah, I think it's good that they did
so
that.
We saw a continuation from the end of the first episode. Fair enough. She lost her job, then she got her job back. We got the name She-Hulk. We know where it comes from now. Media outlets are aware of her. Bruce was right about something, as it turns out. He's not just wrong about everything.
I think the way they constructed the name was really...
Chick Hulk.
I think it's just showing it to be, like...
She's not happy with the name either.
It's lazy writing again. They can't be bothered to think of a better way of doing it.
I think it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Fair.
I mean, you don't need to, how much... Because if you look at what they do with the origin story, are they going to really spend time on the name?
It's always... Yeah.
Maybe
it's because they were interviewing a man. Why didn't they interview a woman?
It was weird that the man was literally a misogynist.
Yeah. I think
it
can't be normal. The
way that it came about was him objectifying her, and then the news anchor softened it by calling her She-Hulk instead of Chick-Hulk.
Being a bit more PC.
And that's what...
And that's became the name. Wow.
Yeah, and Bruce loves that name, by the way.
She-Hulk. He loves it. Well, he has to love it. Because if he didn't love it, guess what?
You'd have to change the name of the show.
Change the name.
So we had some good things. We saw some progression from the last episode. She lost a job, she gained a job. Okay, fine, that's the thing that happened. We saw some inner conflict with Jen.
I think the family.
I thought Dad comforting her was quite good.
I think that was one of the best scenes that again,
That
it
was my
shows how low
favorite
the
scene.
bar is, but I think it was one of the best. One of the things that there's an overriding theme in the first episode and the second episode, and I do find it irritating, is this idea that women like her just talk, and never allow anyone else to get a word in if they're a man. But if it just seems, and I do think it's if it's a man, because I think her friend who's a girl always seems to be able to stop her and get her to think and say something, which is weird. And I just think I hope they
I've
don't
only
continue
seen that with Bruce so far.
No,
I've not seen
she
her
did
do
it
it
with
with
the
anyone
father.
else.
She did it with the father. She
Maybe that's just her character then.
yeah, but lawyers are not like that. Normal
but
people are.
But this
even
is
normal
see,
people
this is
aren't
the
there. It's
problem
like he's
because
on
they never
drugs or
developed.
something.
But because they never developed her character, this is the issue that we have. That we don't know what she's like. Like now, I'm learning 2 episodes in that it seems like they're trying to create a pattern where Jen, the human Jen, is like more of a nervous, fumbling, not so sure of herself, middle-aged woman
Which is
in
exactly
her
the
30s.
opposite of what they said in the first episode, where she was thinking that she's okay and everybody else is the problem. You know, she's got lots of qualities
she's
of
got
strength
complete
and so on.
control of her emotions.
Yes,
But she's also
yes.
conflicted. It's a very difficult
And now
one.
it's the exact opposite. She's actually unsure and all that kind of stuff.
I think the writers had to decide more on the
Do you think they
direction what
first?
they're
Do
taking.
you think they forgot the first episode? Because they put that last part, the first
No,
part of Titania.
they
I think they've
couldn't have.
forgotten what they've written in the first episode and how they portrayed her. I get the impression again. I get the
I don't
impression
think
that
so.
they did a reset.
I have a feeling that they just haven't committed to a direction with her. I think they're thinking more about what she would feel in the moment rather than the general character, what her background is. And there is no real background. They've not told us any background, and I suspect that the writers have no background for
Well,
her.
they gave this
They've probably been given a
impression.
one-sentence description: middle-aged 30s single woman struggling as lawyer turns into Hulk. That's probably what they've been given, and they're just going on that. So I don't blame them for not knowing what direction they're going in, but I wish they would have just picked one.
Yeah, I agree.
So we talked about, we've seen some career regression and progression.
I think the idea of
We've
losing.
seen the family.
Yeah.
That's good. We liked Dad.
I think I did like his accent. It was almost like
I
a
mean,
caricature. I mean, what the hell is accent is that? It's almost like somebody who doesn't speak English trying to speak English.
That was not bad, was it?
No, not in terms.
I don't know where they're
it's
from
the accent.
America.
I'm talking about the accent. It's just weird accent. Having said that, I don't know all the accents
We
of
don't know.
America,
It might be in a totally appropriate accent for where she's from.
wherever that is. Yeah.
People have heavy accents everywhere.
Yeah, but an accent like that. I mean, I must admit, I got the impression it's somebody who's come from Switzerland and likes yodeling and suddenly decides to
Really?
speak. Yeah,
I didn't get that
suddenly-
myself. I mean, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
Right. Okay.
His accent didn't irk me so much. I think I have no idea who Chad is.
This
I
is
would've
her
just-
brother, I think.
Is it her brother?
Yeah, her brother.
Okay, so he seems a bit of a weird guy.
No, he's not. I don't think he's a
Manager
weird guy.
at, what was it?
Best Buy, which is
Best
fine.
Buy.
I mean, basically,
And
what they're saying is
He can't change the
she's
tire.
lost his job. She's lost his job, and he's doing well. That's basically what that was saying. And
Mum's giving her number to people so that they can learn how to
that
be
was
superheroes.
weird.
So
That was just, weird. And one of the things that you always get in my remembering of other origin stories is there's always this element of you have to be careful because you need to protect your family,
I was just about
which
to
is-
say that.
which is obviously a problem here anyway because she is known to the world as.
Exactly. I
and
was
then
just
there's-
about to say that.
But you then don't
because-
give the number away, do you?
Yeah.
You should-
Absolutely. That was a very good point because I was just about to. That just occurred to me now as you were saying it, which is that although I liked the media creating her name, they did also say Jennifer Walters is She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And they put a picture up of Jennifer Walters as a human. And you would think that the first thing, as someone who's now been identified as a superhero who is under threat by supervillains, and she has just defeated one, is that she would think, if everyone knows who I am, surely my family is at risk.
But isn't this because of Spider-Man No Way Home, and where everybody finds out at the end who Spider-Man is.
But then they wipe all their memories.
Yeah,
in the
but
next one.
that's by the by. I think they've just taken the view that it's okay for everybody to know who the superhero is, and maybe that's why. Isn't in the comics she actually sort of teams up with the Fantastic Four, isn't it?
She teams up with pretty much everyone in the comics.
Really, I didn't know that.
I think, but I think
Four.
that's a very good point to make, because Spider-Man, when everyone found out who he was, literally had to live in isolation with his aunt in a completely separate facility.
But that was because
just so that he could escape helicopters.
But
media,
that was agreed.
everything.
But that was because they thought he had killed Mysterio. That was why.
That's
yeah,
true.
so that was why. But usually, I mean, we're talking about a family that's just a normal family in a normal house.
But you are a
no
target to
protection,
villains.
and nobody's going to be
You are
targeting
a
you.
target to villain.
Maybe that's going to happen in the next episode. Who knows?
I think the other thing to say is, do you not think that if you put this out on national news that you've got a new Hulk, that some of the other Avengers may be interested in this?
But that may be another episode. I mean, this episode was very quick. I mean, it was
23 minutes.
Very short
There's
episode
a lot of issues
again.
that is very true. A lot of issues did come up in this episode which were not resolved. In fact, nothing was resolved.
Nothing was resolved.
And-
It's hello, 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 hello. Yes, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm going to bring us back to certain things that were done well. I thought things happened in the real world, which was nice to see. I thought the acting was fine again. I didn't think anything was amazing. I thought Dad was alright in that one scene. I really liked that scene, actually. Thought Tim Roth was good as Abomination. What do you think about Tim Roth?
I love Tim Roth anyway, especially with Lie to Me and all his and the other stuff he's done on film as well as on TV series. He's a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
Brilliant actor. And he could act that role in his sleep. I don't even think he had to really prepare that much.
Probably not.
He didn't have lots of lines, and what he had to say, to be quite honest, the writers have come up with a argument that is a really good argument.
I like that. Yeah.
Except I don't remember, and I'm going to have to revisit the film The Incredible Hulk now. I don't remember Abomination being able to switch between Abomination and a human at will, which effectively is what they've applied. So
I'll be honest, I
Hulk
can't remember either. It was a long time ago that I saw that movie. I am willing to accept it for this. It may be a plot hole. It may not be a plot hole.
blooming big plot
But
hole.
if Jen can control her emotions, I'm sure an SAS commando can also control his emotions.
Well.
I really wanted to hear his haikus. More than anything.
He started the first line and then she stopped him.
More than anything. In fact, if the end credit scene was going to be anything,
It should have been him.
Tim Roth
Yeah.
reading haikus as Abomination. And it should have been in form of Abomination.
Yes, that would have been.
That
really
would have been
funny.
excellent.
I do have a problem with the end of credit scenes, but we'll talk about that when
We'll
we
talk
get
about it
to
in a second.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Tim Roth, going back to Tim Roth, I thought he's a great actor. Always has been a great actor in my opinion, and he just walked through this as though it was
the
a
easiest
walk
thing
in the
world.
park. Yeah, it was a walk in,
So
and it was.
we're happy with Ruffalo's. We're happy with the general acting in this show. Actually,
I
there's
must.
no one that we thought was terrible.
Agreed. I think
Yeah.
the actress who plays Jen Walters, I think she did better in this film, in this episode than the previous.
Yeah, definitely definitely a better range of emotions in this
Yeah.
episode.
And
looks like mainly because she's been given license by the writers.
well,
I think.
I think she's also got more sensible lines to say. And to be honest, part of it, there was this one part that she didn't need to play the bumbling person when she's actually going into the
the
building, into the building. When you go into the building and she can't
yeah.
open the door. You don't need to do that.
She knows how to open a door, guys.
Yeah, exactly. If she is the clever person that she's trying to portray in the first episode and in the second, because she's complaining that, oh, they're only choosing me because I'm a She-Hulk, not because I'm actually any good at my job, then just show the sort of stuff that I am good. And I don't need to, I'm not the sort of person who can't open a door.
Yeah.
So I think that, when she's playing it straight, I think she's a good actress.
Yeah, I think I
think
was
it's well
I was
cast,
generally
actually.
happy with the performances in episode 1 and episode 2. I think the writing was better in this one. I agree. I think the Tim Roth Abomination angle. I'm a reformed person, but I also have been kind of tricked by my government. I thought that I was going to be the next Captain America. I had all these great hopes for myself, and it turns out I've been villainized. Thought that was a really interesting angle to take. It's not something that I thought of before, and it does relate to the fact that he was given super serum, which was one of the whole Captain America. I don't know.
I think he gave it to
products in the
himself.
first
I
place.
thought
So
he gave it to himself. It wasn't that.
I thought the government gave it to him.
I don't
I
remember
think
that.
I think he was given to
Maybe.
by the government.
I need to revisit the film as to you. But it's just,
I didn't mind that angle. I thought the angle was good. It was interesting. Now, yeah. Here's the main thing. 23 minutes.
it's such a. You know, the worst thing is, if you actually think about it, it wasn't 23 minutes.
It's more like
'Cause
21.
There was this intro that basically was the whole of the episode, first, in 1 minute. Then you had the meandering of the of the first episode, effectively the end of the first episode being the thing. It was really only about 15 to 16 minutes. You only need to watch that much.
It was
And you get
it was
everything.
strange, wasn't it? Because if you listen to the full commentary, you can hear me saying, "I like that things are happening," but then when things happened and I was saying that, I was expecting there to be another 15 to 20 minutes on the end of the episode so that things could happen.
Just as it started to happen, it stopped.
Things were happening, but they didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important distinction to make. We're left with things still happening. My feeling is this is not a TV show. This is not something on a TV. This is an online web series, effectively.
I don't.
This is streaming content. Disney has all the control to make the episodes as long as they need to, as long as they want to. They could have given us an hour-long episode for the first one if they wanted to. They could have given us 45 minutes for this episode if they wanted to. But they decided 23 minutes was enough.
I think that this is basic. I don't quite agree with the It's a streaming a sort of web episode. I think it's more a question of they've gone from beginning to end for the whole series, and they've just arbitrarily decided, right, we're going to stop it here. And this has not been thought through, I don't think, in terms of how long an episode should be, how long a story should take to say within that.
The reason I get worried about this is because do you remember our thoughts and discussion on the first episode where I said I think 28 minutes is all they had? That I think
Yeah.
the 28 minutes they filmed is the 28 minutes they showed us, and that there's potentially nothing left on the cutting floor.
Yeah.
Do you think they would have released a 23-minute episode if they had stuff on the cutting floor?
It depends if that stuff on the cutting floor ends up in the next episode.
I feel like they've filmed everything they wanted to film, gone bish bash bosh, and it turned out to be 23 minutes. And they said that's fine, that's everything we wanted.
They're releasing one episode a week, isn't it?
Yeah.
The reason they're doing that is because if you were to release all the episodes in one go, like you do with a lot of series, you see the whole thing in about 3 hours. Basically, you're wondering why.
But if I'm honest, if they had done a complete drop of the whole series, I think there may be more positive reviews. Because it
I
doesn't
thought the reviews
feel...
were really positive for this, but the problem is the audience reactions have been really poor.
Yeah, which means there's actually negative reviews, but they're paying for positive reviews.
Yeah.
So the thing, I mean, it's hard for critics, isn't it? Because critics
They
now
need to keep Disney on side, otherwise they
don't
don't
get to see the access.
They
Yeah,
don't get any of the access to the stars, etc.
So they're kind of stuck, aren't they? So
you can't really believe them.
whereas we know that we're not going to get access, so we can say whatever we
Yes,
want.
yeah, exactly.
So I think the thing is, I feel like they don't respect the viewers. I feel like if you respected me, you'd give me a proper half-hour episode, at least a half-hour
They're
episode.
shortchanging everybody, basically. Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel worth my time to even remember this episode for next week.
Because skip the intro will tell me everything I need to know about it.
I know.
And the first episode had nothing in it that you needed to remember. So basically, if you were to go straight to episode 3, I reckon you've seen everything that you need to see if you watch the intro.
Do we think there was anything else in this episode that we need to talk about that we thought was good? We talked about the fact that
Tim Ross.
happened.
Tim Ross was excellent again. I mean, the way that it ended, where they asked her to switch the TV on, and he got a breakout. I thought the breakout was a great idea, but then you suddenly see, okay, it's referring back to Shang-Chi. Obviously, they're gonna start bringing in other characters from the Marvel Universe as a lead on that. But yeah, it's I think it was, it is what it is. It is what it is because it is too short. There's not much you can really say. It's been cut so.
It's very hard to comment, isn't it? I think I will say this. I think the episode that what I saw was better. I think my overall feeling is actually the same as episode 1, which is that I was so disappointed by the lack of what I saw, because the time was 21 minutes, that I felt they didn't respect the viewer. I felt they could have fleshed out the characters more. If they spent 9 more minutes, they could have fleshed out these characters even more so than they did. So I think wasted opportunity, if I'm honest. I think a big part of what I feel at the moment is that it wasn't just about the fact that I saw things progress, but I saw that they could have done things and they had the time to do those things. Whereas in the first episode, if they're committing to half an hour, they did give us half an hour. So I could say, we could have gone a different direction, all this sort of stuff. I know they could have done extra because I know there's not enough time in this episode.
Just being shortchanged, that's basically what it is, going back to that term, shortchanged. And that is, I think, that ultimately my overriding feeling about this particular episode.
So things happened, good acting performances, animation I thought was on a par to before. There was
hold on 1 second. I don't think the animation was that good. Before.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was acceptable. The animation I thought was
It's a low
acceptable.
bar. It's a low
Maybe they
bar.
set a lower bar for me because I watched the trailer and I saw the animation on that, which was terrible. So I'm just pleasantly surprised that it's not as bad as the trailer.
Yeah, but it's to have it. They've set such a low bar. It was easy to have it create a superior episode to the first one. So I don't think it really should be compared with the first one.
Okay, we'll put animation by the by. I thought there was a heartfelt moment with Dad. I thought the dialogue was a little bit better.
Heartfelt moment in the sense that because of the first episode had nothing like this really. It felt if this had actually been the first episode of the series, if it had been the first episode of the series, we'd be really going on about the fact that it's too short, and I don't think that the scene with the father would have been enough. But because there was literally nothing like it that was properly in the first episode, it made up for the lack of it. Therefore, it became.
I will say
more
they did try it with Bruce in the first episode to have some heartfelt moment between them, but
she wouldn't stop talking.
And I just didn't feel it whatsoever, even when they did make up at the end. You can go your own way.
Agreed.
It just didn't really hit home for me. Whereas I think with the dad being reassuring to her when she was struggling with this idea that she's now She-Hulk and what's it going to mean for her and her job.
I think the father might end up becoming the anchor. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think the father might end up becoming like an anchor for her. But who knows? Maybe that's what it's trying to do.
We'll see. We'll see what direction they take with the family. But I thought that was a nice moment. I thought the Tim Roth angle, the Abomination angle, was a nice angle. So lots of good things, or better things than before, and maybe not good. But there was some. Good
Tim Roth actually introduced a little bit of humour. I think he did. There was an underlying tone of the way he delivered some of his lines. I thought was really good, and there's a humour there.
Seven Soulmates.
Yeah,
I thought Seven Soulmates was interesting.
I thought even the way he sort of said, talk about the haiku and all the rest of it. But it's not that it's lazy acting. It's just he's such a good actor he can make those rather poor lines really good lines.
Yeah, I
So it's all right.
generally
Yeah.
a decent episode for
Yeah.
me. It wasn't something that I was wishing ended, and then it did end far too
It
quickly.
ended far too
And
quickly.
then I was wondering why it ended.
Yeah. It ended because I think they ran out of ideas.
So they gave us something they didn't give us enough, I think.
Yeah. What did you think of the end credit scene?
I didn't care about it.
I don't like the end credit scene because, on the one hand, she's complaining about having to be She-Hulk in order to get a job. So the implication being, I'm more than just She-Hulk. Yeah.
Right.
And yet the whole of the end credit scene was about her family saying, we want She-Hulk because we need this to be done, that to be done, that to be done. All
She's
that
becoming
carrying.
useful to them.
Yeah, and I wasn't. It didn't sit right. But also, I think they missed some humor. I think
Yeah,
they missed some
Abomination
humor.
reading haikus.
No. Even in the end credit scene, for instance, you cannot pick a car up by its bumper. It would have been really funny if while they were talking about
The bumper broke off.
the bumper broke off, the thing just, and it was like, oops.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff.
Simple stuff, you know.
Yeah.
She's being helpful, Jen. Helpful She-Hulk. I think I just want Abomination reading haikus. That's all I want. I want a web series of Tim Roth reading haikus as Abomination, and that would complete me. Right. So we talked about some good things. Generally, bad things. Was there bad things? I think the bad things are just continuing.
Short. It was so short.
Yeah, definitely the length of the episode. I think the fact that all men are just terrible human beings except for her dad.
Yeah.
What else? I think that's I don't. The rest was kind of just non-improvements.
Yeah, no.
The script writing wasn't
in the-
amazing. It wasn't terrible. Some of the jokes hit. Some of the jokes didn't. I didn't expect them all to hit. I don't think there was
didn't really
anything
recognise
that
many
stood
jokes.
out that really turned me off this episode except for Chick Hulk.
It is a. You know that scene when she's walking into the office and there's she's looking through the windows at a boardroom and there's all men. I think we're all men, and they're laughing or whatever, almost implying that actually they're there because, they're seen for what they see her only as being good if you are in the body of She-Hulk and all that sort of stuff.
That she can't get the job if she's herself.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's this underlying element of men are rubbish that is just pathetic. And even the guy who gave her the basket, he's almost kowtowing to her.
He was the only man that didn't do something ridiculous in the episode.
Well, they had to. They had to give him the line about this is the poop. This is the
that's what I'm saying.
And they wouldn't have given it to a woman. They wouldn't have given it to a woman because the person who has that line.
They could have given it to a woman.
No, but a person who says that line almost certainly is going to be seen as a fool.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. So he was the only man that wasn't an idiot because he was a man, but he was still a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
But I thought that was actually funny. I thought that line was actually funny.
Only because she said "good one."
No.
If it had just left it out there without her reaction, or if she had gone,
I think it was
it would have
generally a
been,
funny idea, like that someone would be that supportive of you as a colleague that they'll tell you the best bathroom to go to at work. I think that's actually quite funny.
Yeah, but saying the best bathroom and saying best bathroom for a poop are two different things.
Yeah, I mean this is.
If it was a woman saying it,
this
they
is
wouldn't
the smallest
have said
thing to talk about in the episode that we just watched.
Yeah.
But I think the episode itself was a hit and miss. I think a huge part of the episode, which was a downer for me, was the lack of the episode and the fact that there's just not enough of it. They could have done so much more if they had just used the time that they should have. Should we do a rating? You want a rating
What
scale?
do you want to rate it as? What scale are we going to use this time round?
Should we do UK Prime Ministers?
No. Let's do it by cars.
Okay.
So you got Porsche's number one.
Porsche is your favourite car?
No, not necessarily, but it's a good car.
Let's do from
Porsche to a Lada.
Let's do from I don't think the American viewers are gonna know what a Lada is.
Okay.
Let's do from a
horse and cart.
let's do from horse and cart to a Ferrari.
A Ferrari, okay. It's better than a horse and cart because the bar was so low. It was easily going to be better than the previous episode. So a horse and maybe this one is a horse and a cart, but there's two horses, so it's an improvement.
For me, it's a hot air balloon. It's going somewhere, I don't know where, and it could run out of gas any time.
Yeah, it could fall down and flop back.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, okay. I think it's just started, which is why there's two horses and a cart. And
so you've got a bit more optimism than me.
Well, I'm hoping it's going to be better than this. If it isn't, I mean, blooming hell. If it isn't going to be better than this, then one has to question how on earth can this be regarded as one of the great series? Because that's basically what people have been. The critics
Weirdly,
have been
the
saying.
critics have been giving it high marks, and I think we should just stop listening to. I don't really pay attention.
Who
to what
are these
critics
critics that are saying it's so fantastic? I mean, I don't even understand how you can have such a high score with critics. It doesn't even. It beggars belief. It actually beggars belief. I don't care what anybody says.
It's people who want to keep going to their early viewings. That's what it is. So, I don't blame the critics. I just don't listen to them. Right. So I think we've pretty much talked about everything we want to talk about today. So, thank you for listening, everyone. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Okay. Bye bye.